This is Angelus, the storyboard gamer, and I'm here to talk to you about the best games to play at a Halloween party. In this video, I have listed a series of games that I think create an excellent atmosphere for a Halloween event. Now, be advised that I have listed them from friendliest and spookiest to disturbing. So take a note of caution as we venture down the rabbit hole. The first game that I will introduce you to is Mysterium. I'm not going to go into detail about this game because I know many of you are already familiar with it. Suffice it to say, in Mysterium, you are attempting to interpret visual clues and dreams in order to solve murder mysteries. These are cooperative experiences, and in this interaction of dream interpretation, I find there is a wonderful atmosphere of the night. The next game I want to introduce you to is a role-playing game from 2006 called Dread. Now, Dread uses the central conceit of a stack of Jenga blocks, which you create a tower. Whenever you have a challenge, you have the choice of attempting to draw a block from this tower and placing it on top, or refusing to do so, in which case your task automatically fails. Now, when the tower comes tumbling down, as it inevitably will, the character that caused it to fall is removed from the game. You choose something thematically appropriate, such as madness, death, that is very common, or even catatonia. The whole point of Dread is you can see the stakes mounting up brick by bloody brick, and there's just that hope of maybe you can maneuver the brick just this once, and you sit on the edge, watching for that tower to tip and take you down with it, and you know it was only by your own hand that you have come to this dread. For my next game, I would love to introduce you to what is known as Escape from the Aliens in Outer Space. Again, this is another atmospheric horror game. Half of you are aliens, half of you are humans. The aliens want to eat the humans want to escape. You play by moving around simultaneously on a map, drawing your own path and trying to figure out where the other players are. You do not know the identity of the other players. And it's a game of echolocation, because with each move, you probably give away your location, but you can also potentially fake your location on a different part of the map. I strongly recommend playing this game with the lights out and with a small focused source of light, such as a headlamp or a phone, and facing away from each other, so you know that there's something behind you and you cannot shake that feeling. The next game that I'm going to talk to you about is called Puppet Land. In this game, you take the role of a puppet. Could be a finger puppet, hand, shadow, or even a marionette. And you live in a Punch and Judy-esque reality created by a human known only as the Maker. Except Punch has decided to take on the role of the Maker, has slaughtered the Maker, is now wearing his skin as a flesh mask, and has created several puppets out of his flesh and skin. You have episodes of a single hour where you remain entirely in character as seated, and anything you say out of character is taken to be a rhetorical conceit. And every time you are injured or you do something that is wildly dissonant, you blot out a bit of your character sheet. Or if you're playing an older version, tear off a bit of your character sheet. And you only have a single hour of real time to play a session out, because when that time runs out, and darkness falls, leaving all players bereft of sight. I am here to talk about Nyctophobia. It is a game where one person plays as a killer, a hunter in this forest, and everyone else is playing as a possible victim attempting to escape. The escapees play blindfolded. They are without sight and must navigate this tactile three-dimensional maze with a sense of touch. Now, the hunter actually acts as a moderator for the game rather than a true antagonist, but their sole job is to gaslight the other players. I think one of my favorite moves was I had a player move, and I knew where he was about to move. So I moved the hunter piece to the space next to him, breaking the rules, of course, allowing him to, through his own discovery, find my piece. And in that moment of him freaking out and withdrawing my hand, I quickly moved the piece back without saying anything. And so in that moment, when he searched for the piece again, it nearly broke his mind, and I've never seen such a reaction from a board game before. It is undeniably palpable. We have time for one last story tonight, and I've saved the worst for last. This is the tale of Bluebeard and his wives. In this game, you are playing one of the aspects of Bluebeard's wife's psyche. You are not necessarily always going to agree about the same thing, and you will fight over the direction of this poor woman's fate. As you might recall from the fairy tale this game is based on, Bluebeard is notorious for the death of many of his wives. You are the new wife of Bluebeard, and you have been given permission to explore any and all of the rooms in the house, except one. Now you and I as players know that behind that door lies the deadly fate of Bluebeard's wives. Until then, however, you and your companions, as the fractured psyche of this woman, can explore the house, interact with its malcontent servants, discover twisted and gauntless horrors of the place. Sometimes you'll make choices that kind of make you complicit with these horrors for your own survival. Other times you can merely forestall the inevitable. Over time, you as individuals will make decisions as to whether you think that Bluebeard is merely a misunderstood and much maligned person, or whether he is really the monster that tales tell him to be. And eventually, you have to come to that choice of whether you open that final door and see what's there. And what's there will depend on those choices. So it is a game that puts you in the role of a woman trapped by a possibly abusive partner. But the game lets you decide on that. So there is this very terrifying element of uncertainty and psychological trauma. So for these reasons, you really do want to know what you're getting into when you go into the story.